Welcome to the WTR Showcase with Circus SE. I am your host, James Kisner, Technology Analyst at Water Tower Research. Today's showcase is a special one because we are coming to you from Munich, Germany, or at least my guest is, where I'm joined by Elena Coles, Head of Investor Relations of Circus SE, which trades on XETRA under the ticker symbol CA1. Also here with Elena is my colleague Mike McCormack, Head of Client Relations for Water Tower Research. Circus is a German AI robotics company building the first fully autonomous kitchen systems for both commercial and defense customers. Its flagship CA1 cooks fresh, personalized meals from scratch with almost no human labor, all powered by the company's proprietary CircusOS software. Circus systems are operating across Europe today for customers including Meta, REWE, Mercedes-Benz, and the German Armed Forces. In today's showcase, Elena will walk us through the product portfolio and we'll discuss the company's ecosystem strategy, its new proprietary ingredients program, and the growing defense opportunity. Before we dive in, a quick note, Circus SE publishes its financial reports and press releases on the investor relations section of its website at circus-group.com. And as a reminder, the showcase cannot be reproduced or transcribed without written permission from Water Tower Research. So Elena, welcome and thank you for joining us from Munich.
James, wonderful to have you virtually in Munich. So this is where the robots live.
Awesome. All right, let's just kick off then. So Elena, let's just start with the big picture. For investors who are newer to the story, remind us of Circus's vision. How are you transforming food service in both commercial and defense applications?
Well, yeah, food processing is a huge global industry, and only like 4% of it is robotized. If you compare it to automotive, there we have 30% of robotics in automotive. So all kind of service industries like healthcare, hospitality, or cleaning are still very labor heavy. And if you can automate a car factory, you can also automate a canteen. It just needed some crazy people, which appears to be us, to do it. Our approach is not to simply add another kitchen appliance to the kitchen. Our approach is really to build an AI native robotic infrastructure that can be deployed anywhere. All our products, as you mentioned, are dual use. So we have commercial, canteens, retail, hospitality. And then we have defense with the Bundeswehr, the German Armed Forces, and other NATO partners. So it's the same robotic system, the same brain, but a different mission. And our overall company mission says fueling humanity. That sounds very big, but putting it in simple words, you can really put a robot everywhere where people eat.
Yeah, that's a very good overview, and it does sound like a big vision when you put it that way. This is kind of the exciting part, I think. Let's get into the portfolio itself, starting with your flagship. Just tell us about the CA1. What does it do? Where is it being deployed today?
So this is our CA1. This is our flagship system, and it's basically a whole kitchen on 7 square meters. It can cook up to 6 dishes in parallel, and it is deployed at customers, blue chip customers like Mercedes-Benz. Retail is an example with REWE supermarkets, which is the biggest European supermarket chain. And it's also active at the Bundeswehr, the German Armed Forces, for example.
Great. So could you actually show us the CA1 in action and walk us through what's happening as it makes a meal for us?
Well, I'm happy to show you. But first of all, maybe apologies for everyone watching and not being able to taste now. So we have some meals being cooked already. But just to show you like the process, you can order on the order screen. You can order on a tablet. You can also order with a waiter. So there are different modes for ordering. You can choose whatever is loaded and available on that day. We have some pasta, we have some chilies in carne, we have some salads, and some sweet brownies. But let's go with something, let's go with the chilies in carne.
So what's happening with this dish now?
So this is being heated up according to its cooking profile. Every ingredient has a own specification of how it should be cooked and for how long and how hot. So we produced over 20,000 meals already with CA1 systems. We have reached an uptime of over 90%. And what we use also is vision intelligence to look inside of the system, or to have a look inside the system every time during the entire cooking process. So if something goes off, the system corrects it live.
Looks like our pasta is also being poured. It's funny how it shakes the pot just like a human would.
Right? Yeah, very human. I pushed some brownies as well. Yeah, so now it's time to get you hungry.
That's impressive. So, you know, you recently added a second system to the family with the acquisition of Alberts. So, I believe that's behind what's called the CA-A. So, where are you in the integration of that? And, you know, what does the CAA bring to the portfolio? How does it fit in the strategy?
So the CAA, which is over here, is basically the small brother of the CA1. It is the fastest way to light up many customer locations. It has a footprint of only 1 square meter. So we acquired the Alberts platform and a small, very sharp team with an all shares transaction. Let me get one going. I'm sure Mike will want another one as well. Which is also nice here. Break even is at 17 cups a day already. So with 20 cups a day, you have a good profitable case. Clients of us run with 60 cups a day, so it's like 3 times break even. So it would also work with a more low traffic location as well. The deployment universe is huge. We have hotels, we have gyms, we have healthcare, we have offices, transport hubs, all needing some fresh, nutritious, also functional food, which is all cup-based and liquid. So we do have warm soups, and we have some cold smoothies. We can also do matchas, frappes, and use supplements as well. So supplements which are very popular right now, I see as creatine, magnesium, collagen. So all of these things are being stored inside the system as well. It's a frozen supply chain, which also means that we have 0 food waste, or our customers have 0 food waste. Yeah.
Oh, it's like a high-end smoothie shop, collagen. That's amazing. You touched on something that I'd like to drill down a little bit on. You know, let's talk about the business model for a moment. So when a customer buys a system, like what does that look like? How does the pricing model work? And maybe how does that differ across the portfolio if it does?
Yeah. So we sell all our products once, and then we earn on the software forever. And now we also earn on the ingredients as well. So we started with the frozen supply chain with Alberts, and now embedding more and more of chilled ingredients as well. So there are 2 ways to buy a system. You can purchase it, or you can lease it through our financing partners, like Siemens, for example. That really lowers the barrier for our enterprise customers. There's no big capex hit, and the procurement cycle is just way faster. Yeah, as you saw, the CA1, that is our flagship system. It also has a hardware ticket, then a monthly CircusOS subscription. The CAA, you see in the back, that's just really like the entry product for a lot of clients, with a lower hardware price and a lower monthly fee for the CircusOS. And it scales very fast. So this is really a volume play with the CAA. What we also have is a CAM that is different, slightly different again, because it's kind of defense pricing. We have custom SLAs, longer contracts, and higher complexity there. But but all have a CircusOS subscription. So with every deployed system every month, and that fleet scales automatically.
Kitchen Robotics. So what was the strategy behind that acquisition, and how should we think about it, in terms of integration into the business?
Yeah, what we acquired is the whole company, Kitchen Robotics. They were founded in 2019, so they're really like the dinosaurs in kitchen robotics, and deep in AI-based control and algorithms. We acquired them for their over 30 international patents and all the software IP. That was an all-cash transaction. It was a low six-figure range. What else to say? That the deal was starting last year in Q4 of 2025 and was now fully closed in the beginning of 2026. And strategically, it was also very relevant for us to get the certifications and, of course, the IP and patents, but also the NSF certification. So that gives us so now we just have the US regulatory in our bag.
That sounds like it'd be very valuable. So, you and the team talk a lot about the Circus ecosystem. So, what does Circus mean by ecosystem? Beyond your hardware and software. I think that tied to your revision to your outlook for this year, which you guys framed as a conscious decision. So maybe you can just help us understand the thinking a bit there.
Sure. Well, I think in 3 years, this decision would look obvious. The alternative would have been building volume instead of a business. It's harder to tell the story short term now, but it's the only one that really compounds. So the choice was doing a sprint on hardware for 1 year or build layers that pay back to us for the next 10 years. So our customers were very clear on that. Our long-term investors were also clear on that, which way to go. So we're essentially shifting our revenue from this year, which was very backloaded anyways, and do the production ramp in 2027, and also ramping up then automatically the software subscription and also the revenues coming from our new ingredient supply chain and ecosystem. So now we really have all layers in place to scale properly. And that's also a great moat that only gets deeper and deeper over time.
That makes sense. Has anything changed at all about your view of the market itself or the size of the opportunity for Circus?
The market got bigger, and barely no one else is playing seriously at that production layer as we are. So yeah, food processing is huge. It's under automated, as I said in the beginning. Other industries are far more automated. In food service, we also have some structural tailwinds, of course. So there are labor shortages worldwide. There's food inflation. The defense budgets are growing as well. And the competitive landscape is surprisingly empty at the autonomous food production layer. There are a lot of delivery robots and cloud kitchen real estate, but very few actual food production robots. And I don't know, every time I see food courts at airports or people eat, I really see our TAM. It's kind of ruined seeing food courts for me.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty wide open opportunity. So, on this sort of related topic, I want to talk about your announcement on ingredients. Perhaps I'll kind of lump a few questions together here. Just why does Circus feel the need to build its own ingredient strategy? How complex was that? Does it change the products you're able to offer? Does it simplify sourcing and give you more control of the supply chain? Just say what you can about ingredients.
Well, ingredients, or the ingredient layer, is like the biggest margin lever in this whole industry. And we already owned everything except of that until now. So the problem is really the traditional restaurant sourcing. There's like a 2 to 4% margin with those kickback structures in place there. And now with our proprietary ingredient system or ingredient units, we are able to increase the margin up to 45%. I think it's well inspired by Nespresso or coffee. So it's a great espresso machine, but the real business is the capsule. And also
the razor
bringing,
blades model.
yeah. Yeah.
How long will it take before ingredients start to impact the business in a meaningful way? Are there any major obstacles to implementing that? For example, building enough diversity of sources?
So we see a meaningful revenue contribution in 2027. All obstacles are solvable. We're already in the making of solving them. So now we're just really rolling it out across customers. The ingredient revenue scales then with every deployed fleet, and the meaningful contribution, as I said, will be like 2027. And what we already have is the frozen supply chain from the CA1 system. And now in line, which is just simply the next step, is the fresh chilled ingredients, which is different logistics, higher margins, more products. So maybe the obstacle was really finding a good diversity of sources, like a multi-partner architecture, depending on the region as well. So that's already underway, and great benefits from it.
Great. Okay, just a few more here before we wrap up. And just talk briefly on defense, which we haven't really talked about very much, which has been kind of one of your fastest, growing areas. Where does the defense opportunity stand today? Can you kind of give an update on the CAM?
Yeah, sure. Well, defense is the fastest growing segment. All our products are dual use. CAM is a game changer for how to feed forward troops. So yeah, defense is the fastest growing segment for all our products since they are all dual use. CAM is one game changer though, because it changes the way how to feed forward troops, military troops, and brings a lot of strategic value. It really reduces personal exposure at forward positions, which is a huge key. So it frees soldiers from sitting in the kitchen or standing in the kitchen, and brings them as well some consistent nutrition anywhere they are. So one CAM is comparable to one field kitchen, but with roughly 5% of the staff and 10 times the setup speed.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. My grandfather was a cook in World War II, so might not have had to be there. Let's turn to a customer that you recently announced, Secura, and you guys described them as an early strategic partner. And just, for those investors who may not be familiar with them, particularly here in the US, like who is Secura? Maybe you could share a few key stats and tell us why that relationship is strategically important to Circus.
Yeah. So Secura is for us the fastest channel into German industrial canteens. So it's one partner with dozens of blue chip customers on their end. So Secura brings the accounts and the operational footprint, and we bring the technology. Secura is a German facility management group. They have over 1,000 of employees, and over 200 of really enterprise customers. A lot of in the automotive sector, for example. Like Audi, BMW, Porsche. We have ThyssenKrupp as well. So a lot of industrial scale workplace catering.
Yeah, it sounds like an exciting opportunity with a lot of leverage. Just one final question. So we've kind of alluded to the U.S. a little bit. You've had some marquee, U.S. linked customers in the mix. What's your read on the U.S. market, and how does it fit into the ecosystem strategy you've been building?
Yeah. The US market is wide open. The US food service is like $1 trillion market. Still very labor heavy, hitting real wage pressure. That's exactly the setup we have been waiting for, right? There's one example, Travis Kalanick, who's the ex-founder of Uber. And he's now looking into robotics and cloud kitchens. So that is also, I think, a great signal that someone like him, as sharp as him, is now also leaning into that market. So it's a good place to be. And maybe also for US investors, we do have an ADR level 1 in place, and we're accessible to US institutional investors. And increasingly to their radar as well, I think.
Great. Well, Elena, thank you so much for your insights, and thank you for the demo. It's been a real treat to see those systems. Once again, that's Elena Coles, Head of Investor Relations of Circus SE, trading on XETRA under the ticker CA1. Finally, a special thanks to the producer and editor of the showcase, my WTR colleague, Krista Fitzpatrick. To learn more about Circus, please visit the Investor Relations page on their website at circus-group.com and access our research on WTR's website, which is watertowerresearch.com. I thank everybody for joining us, and please note that the views expressed in the showcase may not necessarily reflect the views of Water Tower Research LLC and are provided for informational purposes only. This event may not be distributed or reproduced without written consent of Water Tower Research and should not be considered research nor recommendation. WTR is an investment engagement firm, not a licensed broker, broker-dealer, market maker, investment bank, underwriter, or investment advisor. Additional disclaimers can be found at watertowerresearch.com.
Thanks, James.